You know, when Noah wanted to build his ark, most of the people laughed at it. Why are you building this damn ark? I think it's time to panic. We got to build our ark, too. The threat to organized human existence. Climate pollutants. Nuclear incident. Landfills. Nuclear terrorism. And cow farts. The threats that human technology now portend. Civilization could deteriorate. Nothing is more serious in the world than extinction. To quote the apocalypse. And I think this has to be at the level of a crusade. The existential threat of our time, it's not going to be 110, it's going to be 130. A complete wasteland. 135 for months on end. It can be so hot here, it becomes unlivable. You're going to see mass migrations, extinction of millions of species, vector diseases, forest fires. This isn't for me. I'm going to be dead. It's for you. Is this the end of the world? It is the end of the world as we know it. It's time to panic. It is the end of the world as we know it. A complete wasteland. It is the end of the world as we know it. I'm going to be dead.
Oh, and now, an update from the Apocalypse Desk.
Yes.
The Apocalypse. Here's John and Ken.
This is the end of the world. Well, I tell you what, they let him out of the home today.
He's old, he was sick, he was naked, and he gave what made...
Wait, naked?
Yeah.
Do we need the naked desk as well, then? Or what do you mean naked?
Well, that's an option.
That's not true.
I saw a video of this.
He's not doing all these push-ups he used to do for reporters. I wonder if he is really, slowing down.
He's old, sick, naked, and he gave probably his final statewide address.
Well, yeah.
This was the State of the State speech, and
he'll run for something only because he can't sit in the home, literally. I think he's going to try to do something with his...
Oh, he'll probably
Remember, he had to be mayor of Oakland for a while, and who the hell would want that job?
Yeah.
But because he was bored, he just wanted to do something.
He'll probably go on a global warming tour.
Oh, you're right.
For the rest of his...
An ambassador.
Yes.
And he will be the climate change representative that Trump doesn't have. Yes, that's a good idea. And they will welcome him in open arms in Europe and China.
That was Schwarzenegger did some of that when he left office.
Yeah, he did. Look at him now.
And Jerry Brown is...
Well, this is the State of the State, in case you don't know. It's the annual speech, which is now run in the morning because nobody really cares. Remember, it used to come out at 5 o'clock?
Right, and the local news in each city would carry it.
Yeah, I think they got no numbers and said the next year, guess what? We're not really interested in running this at 5 o'clock.
He was bounced to the morning, and I don't think anybody runs it anymore.
It's unbelievable, though. He hit everything that we talk about on this show, and of course... He has the opposite viewpoint on all of these matters, which include high-speed rail, the gas tax, climate change, and doomsday.
When you're on your final tour, you do your greatest hits, right?
You do.
Yeah, it's a career retrospective.
You do. Let's start with the climate change clip, because that's what the Apocalypse Desk is mostly about. Jerry Brown, of course, has been the ambassador for climate change, traveling the world and telling everybody that it's the end of the world, as we know it. He's even taken over for the Pope. The Pope was doing climate change for a while, but Jerry Brown pushed him aside. I'm number one now in the world. It's all I'm going to do, all I'm going to talk about. So let's start with clip number one.
Despite what is widely believed by some of the most powerful people in Washington, the science of climate change is not in doubt. The national academies of science of every major country in the world, including Russia and China, have all endorsed the mainstream view that human-caused greenhouse gases are trapping heat in the oceans and in the atmosphere, and that action must be taken to avert catastrophic changes in our weather systems. All nations agree except one, and that is solely because of one man, our current president.
Clap, 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 anti-Trump, we love it!
Yeah, it starts out with
it's been a year of this in Sacramento. Rather than dealing with the main problems we have, let's just do what we can to oppose Trump. Whether it's climate change, that's Jerry Brown's thing, or immigration, that's the legislature's thing. Meanwhile, the Oroville Dam popped last year. Everybody knows how bad the roads are. Do I have to go through the list?
Oh, the
pension thing?
The Porter Ranch gas leak?
Oh, yeah, right.
That fouled the air?
Right. The problems that we really need addressed are ignored because we want to stand up to Trump. And Brown has taken the mantle with climate change. So there he is explaining it one more. All right, the next clip deals with another current popular topic on the John and Ken show. Although I don't know that he was, I guess he was at the center of this, getting the gas and the car tax passed.
He signed the damn thing.
He signed it, yes. And he's the one that basically introduced it. He put it off for a while, but he finally said, we got to come up with tax money. There's plenty of tax money to fix the roads. There has been for years. They just don't budget it.
This is not something he would have done his first term because it would have got knocked out of office.
No.
So he did it in the final years of his last term.
Right.
And, everything, I was just, with the climate change thing, Fox News had a poll out about what people care about. And the top thing people care about is health care and then political divisions in the country, the opioid crisis, the infrastructure, the economy, the war with North Korea, race relations, taxes, Islamic terrorists, sex harassment, illegal immigration. You know what was last on the list? Climate change.
Which is funny. We didn't get that story. I think it was in the Washington Times, Ray. There was a story that there are people, and of course they would find them, wouldn't they, who have some sort of climate change syndrome. It's all they talk about. They can't sleep.
Because it's a cult.
It is
like when you get
right.
sucked into a religion.
They spend their up nights thinking about it.
And your brain releases all these hormones and chemicals every time you're triggered.
All right, here is Jerry Brown defending the gas car tax.
The vote on the gas tax was not easy, but it was essential. The funds that SB 1 makes available are absolutely necessary if we're going to maintain our roads and transit systems in good repair. 25 other states have raised gas taxes.
Yeah,
Even the U.S. Chamber.
That's a good reason for us to raise taxes.
You know what? These guys have an answer for everything. If we were the only state to raise gas taxes, then we would hear, California is being a leader. Other states are going to follow our example. Or, hey, other states are doing it too. Why shouldn't we?
Yeah.
So no matter what, they've got like some stupid reason for it. They don't talk about the merits of taking $700 out of each family's pocket every year now. $700 that everybody needs. He knows how expensive housing is. He knows how expensive commuting to work is. I mean, they know it's really difficult for a middle-class family to get by in California, but he's got no problem stealing $700 a year, every year.
Now, let's finish this. It's a little vigorous ending.
Even the U.S. Chamber of Commerce has called for a federal gas tax because the Highway Trust Fund is nearly broke. Fighting a gas tax may appear to be good politics, but it isn't. I will do everything in my power to defeat any repeal effort that gets on the ballot. You can count on that.
2 weeks ago he said it wasn't going to get on the ballot.
Yeah,
remember?
No, now
he predicted it wasn't going.
It is going to be on the ballot. All right, when we come back, the big one. And this is a long clip, but it's worth playing. Because what was in the news just last week, another big cost overrun for the Brown Doggle, California high-speed rail. So Jerry Brown decided to dedicate part of this speech, the State of the State, to defending his Brown Doggle. And believe it or not, I think he actually says, I like trains in here.
Oh, yeah, there's a good little snippet in here.
And it's the same old arguments, but it's worth going through. That's coming up.
High-speed rail is more popular than I am right now.
Today, there are still some
naysayers,
decliners,
NIMBYs, and fearful men.
Don't invest in high-speed rail.
We'll do this in a long and difficult generation or two.
It's all a lie. I mean, be real. I like trains.
Yeah, it's a very special Jerry Brown Day. Gave his State of the State speech. We started off with his thoughts on climate change and the gas and the car tax repeal. Now it's time for him to make a long statement on the Brown Doggle.
Only someone with dementia would make an argument for the crazy train. And look who we have. Jerry Brown.
Yeah. It's
clearly a victim of dementia, Alzheimer's, or some other brain disorder, and his logic functions have seized up. Roll the tape.
All right. Since I've talked about tunnels and transportation, I'll bring up one more item of infrastructure. High-speed rail.
Boo. Oh, that's cheating. Get out of here. People are laughing, though.
All right. I make no bones about it. I like trains. I like high-speed trains even better. So did the voters in 2008.
$10 billion laugh.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, they're laughing. $10 billion laugh.
You know I never get offended. I'm offended.
Yeah.
That's $10 billion of our money. Actually, $18 billion.
Oh, right,
the interest. Back the interest.
Right.
And it's coming out of the highway fund. It's coming out of the gas taxes.
Yeah.
So why is that funny? You see what they're like in Sacramento? You talk about a weird religious cult. It's funny that he's wasting $18 billion of our money. It's funny.
Yeah, let's continue.
So did the voters in 2008 when they approved the bond.
Let's vote now.
11 other countries have high-speed trains.
So?
They're now taken for granted all over Europe, in Japan, and in China. President Reagan himself said in Japan on November 11, 1983, the following, and I quote, "The state of California is planning to build a rapid-speed train that is adapted from your highly successful bullet train." Yes, we were, and now we are actually building it. Takes a long time.
Here comes the usual speech. Listen to this part.
Like any big project, there are obstacles. There were for the Bay Area Rapid Transit System, for the Golden Gate Bridge, and the Panama Canal. I'll pass over in silence the time it took to build the Bay Area Bridge. That was almost 20 years. And by the way, it was over budget by $6 billion.
Right, I want to stop it there and tell you, because I heard this today. Eventually, everyone would conclude you need the Bay Area Bridge. That's not the same thing with high-speed rail. We don't need it.
Right.
There's something called an airplane.
Well, this is a lawyer's argument. It's cherry-picking disputable facts.
By using projects that were necessary, even if they became hard to build.
Jerry Brown does not survive if there's one other person in the room.
The Panama Canal he puts in?
No, if there's one other person in the room who speaks truth and logic, Jerry Brown would melt like the Wicked Witch in The Wizard of Oz. There's nothing there. His arguments are flimsy. None of them would survive even a 7th grade debating student who had studied the facts. But he gets to sit in a bubble with a bunch of religious sycophants laughing and cheering him, and nobody allowed to ask questions, poke holes, or present the truth.
Well, that's what a State of the State speech is.
It's garbage.
And your stupid lemmings in the audience applaud.
That's why these things are such garbage.
Let's play a little bit more before we get too mad.
And by the way, it was over budget by $6 billion on a $1 billion project. So that happens.
Oh, great, yeah. Oh, laugh.
That happens.
But not with the
Holy
high-speed
mackerel.
rail. We got that one covered. But
it's all
build
a joke.
It they did, all those projects, and build it we will. America's first high-speed rail system. One link between San Jose and San Francisco, an electrified Caltrain, is financed and ready to go. Another $1 billion with matching funds will be invested in Los Angeles to improve Union Station as a major transportation hub and fix the Anaheim corridor.
Right.
The next step is completing the Valley segment and getting an operating system connected to San Jose.
Stop this a second, because my head is about to explode. Actually, I do. I have a headache now. I think my blood pressure just spiked, and I feel like my skull is gonna split open.
No, I agree.
It's just
propaganda.
I really can't take this. I mean, the deal was the bond that people passed. It was supposed to cost $33 billion. Goes from L.A. to San Francisco and Sacramento and San Diego. 2 hours, 40 minutes, L.A. to San Francisco. 2 hours, 40 minutes. $33 billion, which shows you that was an intentional lie to snooker the public, because now he's making jokes about, oh, yeah, these things end up costing a lot more.
60-some-odd billion and growing.
That's fraud. That's not funny. That's fraud.
At some point, you just have to hold up the hand and say, that's it. We're not putting any more. We're not sinking any more of our tax money into this.
What a... I mean, that is... Right in there, that shows you everything that's wrong. He's fraudulent. This entire government is corrupt. They're stealing money from people, and that gas tax, that money is going towards high-speed rail. They're already going to raid the gas tax, the highway fund, for $18 billion.
Well, they'll have nothing to actually pave a road.
Right, there'll be nothing.
Which is all they were going to do anyway.
Nothing is.
Well, we knew that. We told everybody they're going to just steal this money for something else. All right, when we come back, we'll play a couple more clips. He did actually talk about public safety. Yeah, remember? AB 109, Prop 47, Prop 57, cops being killed. Anyway, we'll play that clip.
Yeah, I know. Even dead sheriff's deputies don't shame him.
KFI.
An iHeart radio station.